In a recent video, I showed how to test and compare pool tables. Recently, I changed the rails and pockets on my table, mostly to make the pockets smaller. In the first video, I performed a set of tests to measure the effective sizes of the pockets at different angles and speeds. I do the same set of tests on the modified table to see how it compares to the original. Be sure to watch to the end because you might be surprised by the results. First, I'll show a quick overview of the installation process for the new rails and pockets. Here's what the table looked like before I started. Notice the narrow rails with large pockets and leather mesh baskets. Here are the boxes containing the new rails and pockets. These are the only tools I used during the installation. The first step was to remove the 18 rail bolts. Then I had to disconnect the leather mesh baskets by pulling the staples out. Now the rails could be separated and removed from the table. Here are the old rails completely disassembled. Here are all the pieces from the new rail boxes. Notice that the long rails are one piece instead of two. This obviously allows straighter cushions with no side pocket points sticking out. The first step was to bolt the four corners together using the recessed clamps. Then the aprons were assembled using the corner brackets. Throughout the entire assembly, we always pre-marked every hole. Then every mark was center tapped, and every hole was pre-drilled. Then wood screws were installed. Then the apron box was attached to the rails using 18 angle brackets, each with 6 screws. This was the most tedious and time-consuming part of the project, with all 108 holes marked, center tapped, drilled, and screwed. Now the assembled rails could be raised into place and then positioned carefully to get everything centered properly. Then the 16 rail bolts and new pockets were installed. Here's the finished product. The main differences are the wider rails, larger apron, smaller pocket openings, and nicer drop pockets instead of leather mesh baskets. The cushions also have new cloth on them that might help the smaller pockets play bigger for now until they get broken in and less slick. The old leather meshes were in bad shape. The new pockets are very clean and should last longer. The mouth opening has been made smaller. 2 balls now lock in the pocket much higher. The side pockets were also made smaller. I purposely did not make the pockets even smaller because I use the table mostly for teaching and filming, where the goal is not to make the table play as tough as possible. Now let's look at how the modified table compares to the original using the Table Difficulty Factor or TDF system. The TDF system is described and demonstrated in detail at the resource page linked below in the video description or pinned comment. To find the TDF for a table, you just need to take 3 simple measurements on a corner pocket with a ruler. You just need to know the mouth size, shelf depth, and throat size. If you have an angle measuring device, you can measure the facing angle as an alternative to throat size. At the AZB TDF thread link, you can find example TDF values for a wide range of tables from extremely easy to extremely difficult. Looking through these examples will give you a feel for how different table sizes and pocket geometries affect how difficult a table plays. The original mouth size was 5 inches. Now it is 4 5/8. This should make the table play tougher. The original facing angle was 55 degrees. Now it is 50 degrees. With the facings closer to parallel, fast speed shots down the rail won't rattle out as easily as they did with the old pockets. The shelf depth was 1.5 inches. But because the pocket geometry was changed, the shelf depth is now larger at 1 3/4. Plugging these numbers into the TDF calculator available online, the original table had a TDF value of 0.99, which is considered average. Despite the smaller pockets, the TDF value for the new table is lower at 0.95, indicating that the table should play a little easier over a wide range of shots. This will be tested in the next section. The best way to assess a table's toughness is to measure how tight a pocket plays at different angles at slow and fast speeds. Here's an excerpt from the previous video explaining the procedure. I chose 3 angles: 5 degrees off the rail, which is fairly shallow, 15 degrees off the rail, which is a moderate angle, and 45 degrees off the rail, which is straight in. At each angle and speed, I find the extreme positions that barely allow the ball to enter the pocket. The distance between these positions gives the effective size of the pocket. Here are the extreme positions for each speed and angle on the modified table. I summarize all results at the end. Here are all the results for the effective sizes of the pocket at each speed and angle. And here's how they compare to the original table. As you might expect, when shooting straight into the mouth of a smaller pocket at 45 degrees relative to the rails, it plays tighter. But at a moderate angle, the smaller pocket plays a little bigger at slow speed due to the smaller facing angles. And at faster speed, the smaller pocket plays much larger, again due to the facings being closer to parallel. One issue I always had with the previous table is fast speed shots easily rattled out of the pocket when not hit perfectly. With the more parallel facings of the new pockets, balls easily drop, even if you catch the near point first. Maybe the new slick cloth on the cushions is helping with this. That remains to be seen until the cushions and facings get broken in and start playing less slick. Regardless, the pocket size measurements do seem to back up the TDF prediction that the new table should play slightly easier even though the pockets are significantly smaller. Again, the main effect at play is the smaller facing angles, allowing balls to not rattle out as easily. As always, see the links below in the video description or pinned comment for more information and examples. And good luck with your game from Dr. Dave!